Malevolent Shrine is Sukuna's domain expansion using Shrine. It creates a distorted Buddhist shrine designed to enshrine demons. The base is made of bovine skulls, while the roof has horns, hanging human skulls, and grotesque mouths forming the entrances. A smaller mouth sits between the roof layers, and twisted tree-like stumps stand at each corner. In its alternate form, Malevolent Shrine turns into a monstrous mass of flesh, horns, and teeth. It has multiple large eyes staring in different directions, patches of hair-like growths, 4 curved horns on top, giant humanoid hands at the bottom, and a spine-like appendage extending from its back. Its guaranteed hit ability slashes everything. Enraged to dust using 2 attacks, Cleave for cursed energy users, and Dismantle for inanimate objects. The attacks only stop if Sukuna cancels the domain or becomes too injured to sustain it. Unlike most domains, Malevolent Shrine has no closed barrier, allowing Sukuna to expand its range up to 200 meters. This creates a binding vow by giving enemies an escape route, but it also increases his attack range. Since it lacks an outer shell, it can't be destroyed like regular domains. The only way to stop it is by severely injuring Sukuna. Alright, a challenge just for you. Only 5% of people can like and subscribe before the timer runs out. Comment done if you managed to do it on time. Coffin of the Iron Mountain is Jogo's domain expansion using his innate technique. It creates a sealed stone chamber resembling the inside of an active volcano. The walls and ground are covered in fissures that constantly release magma, generating extreme heat that can instantly incinerate most Jujutsu sorcerers. This domain has a guaranteed hit effect, allowing Jogo to control molten rock and launch unavoidable attacks at his opponent. Unlimited Void is Satoru Gojo's domain expansion using the Limitless. It traps the target inside an endless void resembling outer space, filled with a black hole, distant galaxies, and white patches. The target's mind is flooded with infinite, raw information, leaving them completely immobilized. This effect forces the target to perceive everything while simultaneously perceiving nothing, rendering them unable to act until they slowly die. However, the user and anyone they are touching remain unaffected, which can be exploited as a weakness. Horizon of the Captivating Skandha is Dagon's domain expansion using his innate technique. It creates a tropical beach with a palm tree forest on one side and an endless ocean on the other. The water near the shore is shallow enough to stand in, giving the domain a deceptively calm appearance. This domain has a guaranteed hit effect, summoning aquatic Shikigami that instantly appear where the target stands. Since they don't exist until the moment they strike, they are nearly impossible to block as they tear into their opponent's flesh. Self-Embodiment of Perfection is Mahito's domain expansion using Idol Transfiguration. It creates a dark space where giant hands form a flower-like shape, with multiple arms linking together in a net around the target. The domain enhances Mahito's Idol Transfiguration, allowing him to reshape souls without physical contact. Nanami compared being inside this domain to being in Mahito's palm, making escape nearly impossible. However, Mahito is forced to touch every soul inside, which backfired. When Yuji Itadori entered, forcing him into contact with Sukuna's soul and triggering a deadly backlash. Chimera Shadow Garden is Megumi Fushiguro's domain expansion using the 10 Shadows technique. Though incomplete, it floods the area with fluid shadows, allowing Megumi to summon multiple Shikigami and manipulate shadows with greater control. With an enclosed barrier, the domain traps the target inside Megumi's shadow, turning the space into a dark, negative-colored void. A large structure resembling spinal columns with ropes and roots appears briefly before fading. Anyone standing in the shadow must reinforce their feet with cursed energy or risk sinking into an abyss. The liquid shadows have no buoyancy, resistance, or oxygen, causing anyone who falls in to drop indefinitely. Graveyard Domain is Smallpox Deity's domain expansion. It instantly traps the target inside a coffin. The curse then lowers its left fist into its right hand, causing a massive gravestone to drop onto the coffin, dealing heavy damage and burying it underground. A countdown from 3 begins. If it reaches 1, the target is infected with smallpox and dies. The domain resembles a graveyard, reinforcing the curse's disease-based abilities. Its guaranteed hit effect ensures that once the conditions are met, death is inevitable. Deadly Sentencing is Hiromi Higuruma's non-lethal domain expansion. It creates a courtroom where the user acts as the prosecutor and the target as the defendant, with guillotines in the background. Instead of a guaranteed hit attack, the domain forces everyone inside to follow the rules of Higuruma's curse technique, with a binding vow requiring him to explain them. A Shikigami called Judgeman oversees the trial. Violence is prohibited, and the trial begins immediately. Judgeman announces the charges, which may or may not be true, and automatically knows everything about those inside, but does not share this with Higuruma. The defendant has one chance to respond: silence, confession, or denial. If they deny, they can lie. Higuruma, as the prosecutor, gets one rebuttal based on sealed evidence provided by Judgeman. After both statements, Judgeman delivers a verdict. If guilty, the defendant receives a random punishment with confiscation, being common, which removes their ability to use curse techniques. If found guilty without confessing, the defendant can request a retrial, which Judgeman must accept. Once the trial ends, the domain dispels, and the punishment takes effect immediately. Idle Death Gamble is Kinji Hakari's domain expansion. It replicates a real pachinko machine themed after the romance manga Private Pure Love Train. To win, Hakari must hit the jackpot by aligning 3 matching symbols featuring characters from the series. Winning triggers a jackpot bonus, granting him unlimited cursed energy and automatic reverse curse technique for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. The length of the machine's theme song, Admiring You. The jackpot odds are 1 in 239, and all game rules are instantly implanted into the opponent's mind through the domain's guaranteed hit effect. This process is harmless, but as a trade-off, the domain is incredibly fast, activating in under 0.2 seconds, making it highly effective in domain clashes. Time Cell Moon Palace is Naoya Zenin's domain expansion using projection sorcery. The domain creates a black void with floating particles and a main stage, a path of flesh leading to a large eye behind Naoya. Its guaranteed hit effect injects animation frames into the target's neck. Anyone who moves must follow the 24 frames per second rule of projection sorcery, or they'll suffer severe injuries with each motion. The domain enhances the technique's precision by targeting individual cells. This disrupts them, causing countless small cuts across the body and leaving the target immobilized. Forced movement can even result in complete limb loss. Womb Profusion is Kenjaku's domain expansion. It creates a grotesque, totem-like tower made of cursed spirit faces fused together. At the base, 4 bald spirits with eye-like markings on their shoulders are the only ones with bodies. Above them, a stack of bodiless cursed spirit heads with gaping mouths is connected by stitched together, arm-like appendages and flesh-like structures with growing branches. Anyone caught in the domain's sure hit attack is struck with an explosive force comparable to maximum, Uzumaki, though the exact nature of the attack remains unknown. Like Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine, Womb Profusion expands without a barrier, integrating into the surrounding airspace. This makes it difficult to dispel using empty barrier manipulation. Threefold Affliction is Yorozu's domain expansion using her construction technique. When activated, it creates a mostly empty space with massive organic structures floating inside, resembling disembodied insect brains and nerve cords. The domain's sure hit effect applies to Yorozu's constructed items, ensuring they reach their target. The name Threefold Affliction references suffering caused by illness or hardship, with shiku being a pun on the English word sick. Given Yorozu's obsessive love for Sukuna, the name likely alludes to lovesickness. Authentic Mutual Love is Yuta Okkotsu's domain expansion using Copy. When activated, it creates an environment resembling a wreckage of cross-shaped structures surrounded by Mizuhiki, with countless katanas scattered throughout. The domain's guaranteed hit effect is determined by a single copied curse technique imbued into the barrier. Meanwhile, every other stockpiled technique is randomly assigned to the katanas within the domain. Only Yuta can activate the techniques within the swords, though he remains unaware of which technique a katana holds until he grasps it. Each katana breaks after 1 use, but an unlimited number of them are available. Hometown is Yuji Itadori's domain expansion. Through his training with Kusakabe, Yuji gained a fundamental understanding of barrier techniques, enabling him to cast a domain expansion. Hometown perfectly reconstructs his childhood environment, featuring familiar landmarks such as a local statue, a park he played in, a department store, and a farm he visited. The domain even manifests animals like crayfish, horses, and geese. The domain's guaranteed hit effect allows Yuji to attack his target with his soul-rending dismantle without the need for physical contact.
Thanks for watching! Like, subscribe, and see you next time. Bye!